How do we build a for loop? What's a for loop? For loops are used for repetitive tasks. Okay, when we have to do some operation multiple times, then we use for loops. And in order to do that, we frequently use range function in most cases. And what range function do? It generates numbers. Okay, a range function generate numbers. If I want to generate numbers from, for example, let's say 10, 20, 30, up to 100, for example, I can build a range function. Always we put the first number here, and the third parameter is the increment from 10 to 20, from 20 to 30, etc. We have some regular increments here in this example. And of course, here we have 90 and then blah, blah. And in the meantime, we have other numbers. One second, I will open the electricity and the lights because I can't see my keyboard. Sorry, okay. And since it is increased by 10 each time, here I am putting 10, okay? My initial value is here. My increment from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, etc. from 90 to 100 is by 10. My third parameter is the increment. And then here I write a value so that if the increment is positive, as long as the values that I generate are less than the value that I write here, for example, 101, then it will continue. If I put here 100, it will not print, it will not take this one, okay? Because this value is exclusive. So if I put here either 101 or 110, it doesn't matter. For this example, it will also generate 100. So start with this one, excluding that one, each time increment this one, and if it is equal to or greater than this value, for example, 101, if the value is equal to or greater than this value, it stops. It doesn't process that number. So first of all, we have to understand the range function quite well in order to build a for loop. If I want to print all these, I will put the values generated by range function to a variable, and here I write a variable, for example, and then I use the keyword in, and then I use the range function to generate the necessary numbers, and then followed by colon. And then we have to indent a little bit for making the inside the body of the loop. And here we will have a print n. Assume I want to print not these values, but for example, 10, 11, 20, 21, 30, 31, 90, and 91, but not 100, up to here, okay? These are the values that I want to print. Any idea how can I do it with one for loop? Print n, 10, and then one more than it. 10 and 11 are printed at the first repetition of the loop. 20 and 21 print 20 and then 21 at the second repetition of the loop. 30 and 31 at the third repetition of the loop. Okay? Is this interesting? So you have to be most of the time clever in order to write a computer program to solve a question. If the question is that print numbers, print blah blah blah, each on a different line, then our output will be the result. The answer of the question will be this one. But if the question is something like this, print 10 in 11, 20 21, 30 31, blah blah. Okay. 2 numbers on each line. How will you write your for loop? Okay. Now I have my loop, which gets value 10, 20, 30, up to 90. Of course, it is now 100. Sorry, let's fix this one. As long as it is less than 100, it will work. So the values generated in this loop, this loop generates 10, then 20, 30, up to 90, as long as less than 100, because after 90, when we increase by 10, it will be 100. And the second parameter is always exclusive. We don't use it. So it will generate from 10, 20, up to 90. And here we are printing 10. And on the next line, 11. Then when n becomes 20 after increasing by 10, print 20, 21. Print 30, and then 31. Print 40, 41, etc. Okay. But here I want to print them on the same line. So what I do, I print the number, and then n plus 1, which is 11 or 21 or 31 or 91, are printed after 10, 20, 30, or 90, or whatever the in between, okay? Is it okay? Is this understood? We can have different solutions to some questions. I will just copy this one. Let's make this bigger. Okay. My question is, write a Python for loop that prints 4-digit positive numbers that ends with 77. So what are the 4-digit positive numbers that ends with 77? 1077, 1177, blah, blah, up to 9977. Ends with 77 means the last 2 digits are 7 and 7. If I say the last ends with 74, what I would do, I would put here 4 and 4, 4, 4, and 4, okay? That ends with, or the last 2 digits are 7 and 4. So here there are several possible solutions. This is in increasing order. So this is my start value and this is my end value. If I see this, I can think of at the beginning something like this. Let's build a for loop for n in range. Let's make a range function call which will produce only these numbers. So what is the initial value? 1074. From the first number to the second to the third, etc. Since I want to have always 74 as the last 2 digits, what I can do, I can increase by 100, 1000, 1174, 1274, etc. So my third parameter will be 100. And as long as it is less than 10,000, it will be 4-digit positive number. So here I can write 10,000, which is a 5-digit number. As long as it is less than 5-digit number, the smallest 5-digit number, which is 10,000, the number will remain, the number generated by the range function will remain a 4-digit positive number. So here, after writing this, we can say print n. This is the first solution. What can be another solution? I can generate all 4-digit positive numbers. In order to generate all 4-digit positive numbers, what I can do? I can write 1000 up to 10,000. If I don't put the third parameter, the increment is 1. Okay, so with this one, what I'm getting, 1000, 1001, 1002, etc. up to 9999. Okay, this range function will generate these numbers, so my loop will get these numbers. But I am interested in numbers which ends with 74. If I have a number n, how can I check if it ends with 74? Who has an idea? And I will write an expression which will be true if the number ends with 74. If I divide by 100, and if the remainder is equal to 74, then the last 2 digits is 74. What is modulus? Modulus 100 gives the remainder when n is divided by 100. When n is divided by 100, gives me the last 2 digits. Okay? Take any number. Let's take, for example, 800 to 3074. When I divide this by 100, the remainder will be the last 2 digits, which is 74. So here, this is modulus 100 equal to 74, means that the last 2 digits are 74, 7 and 4. So here, in this case, we are printing n. For all other cases, if the remainder is not 74, 0 or 1 or 2, etc., or 99, we don't print. We only print if we have something like 73, 72, 74, etc. In this case, the remainder of the division by 100 is 74 if the last 2 digits are 74. Okay. Is this understood? So this is a second solution to the problem. Generate all 4-digit positive numbers, and inside the for loop, check if it ends with 74. What is another possible solution? If you look to the numbers that has to be printed, apart from the 74 at the end, our initial number is 10, and the first 2 digits is 10, 11, 12, up to 99. So I may be Albert Einstein or Newton, a clever person. I can think of generated only these 10, 11 up to 99, and then produce the rest. So I can have for n in range from 10 to 100, which will generate all numbers from 10, 11, 12, up to 99. It will produce these numbers. 100 is exclusive. Okay, this is exclusive. So this will generate these numbers. But how do I produce from 10 this number, from 11 this number? It is quite simple. Print multiply n by 100 10 multiplied by 100 will be 1000 and plus 74. 11 multiplied by 100 will be 1100 plus 74, this one. 12 multiplied by 100 will be 1200 plus 75 will be this one. At the end, n will be 99. 99 multiplied by 100 will be 9900 plus 74, this one. Okay. Did you like the last solution? So when this question is asked, you have to think about this. Of course, this will not probably be given in the question. The question will be only this one. From this question, you should deduce that these are the numbers to be printed, and then you can either use this one or this one or this one. All these three will produce this output. Here, in the second example, we are producing all numbers from 1000 to 9999. So here we are producing 9000 values. But this condition will be only valid for 10 of the for 90 of these values. So the number of times this loop will be repeated will be much more than this one or this one. This will repeat only 90 times. This will repeat only 90 times. But this will repeat 9000 times. Okay, it will repeat 100 times more. So the performance of this one is worse than the performance of this one or this one. The first and third solutions have equivalent performance, but the second solution has a worse performance. Sometimes, frequently, when a computer program is written, the performance may be an issue, and if it's a critical program, then this will not be acceptable. Okay, but for this course, even if you write this solution, this will be correct, and you will get full points. Okay, you will not lose any points. Maybe in the future, since you are civil engineering students and mechanical engineering students, isn't it true? Maybe in the future, some of you may shift to programming area, and maybe you will remember this remark. Not only a correct solution may be enough for some problems, but also a good performing solution may be required. Is this understood? Is this problem understood? And the solutions? Okay, now let's continue with nested for loops. Assume I want to do something like that. I want to print a triangle of, for example, asterisks 1, 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then let's finish with 6. I want to have this in my output. Okay. So I have here 6 lines. The first line contains only 1 asterisk. The second line contains 2 asterisks. The third line contains 3 asterisks, etc. And at the end we have this. How can I achieve this? There are several ways of doing this. At least there are 2 quite simple ways. I will write both of them. And in the meantime, you will also learn a new concept about strings. Here, assume I'm using row variable in range 1,7. What 1,7 will produce? It will produce values from 1 to 6. I have 1 asterisk, 2 asterisk, 3, and at the end six asterisks printed on the 6th line. So this loop, for this loop, row will be equal to 1 when I will be printing the first row. Row will be equal to 2 when I will be printing the second row, etc. Here on the first row, I will print asterisk 1 time. This is column 1, column 2, column 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I will build another for loop inside this one, call for column. I'm abbreviating the column variable, range, but now it will be from 1 to row plus 1. Why I'm putting here row plus 1? When I use a range function call starting with 1 or whatever, the second parameter is always excluded. So if I put here row plus 1, it will go up to row, not row plus 1, because row plus 1 will be excluded. So what will happen? This will just produce numbers 1, 2, 3 up to row. Row is included, but row plus 1 is excluded. Okay. So if row is 1, this will go from 1 to 2, which will only get 1. If row is equal to 2 here in this loop, it will be 1 to 2, 2 plus 1, 3, which will only produce 1 and 2. So when row is 1, this second loop will repeat only 1 time. When row is equal to 2 for the second row, this loop will repeat 2 times because row plus 1 will be 3. 1 to 3 will only produce numbers 1 and 2. So here, what I will write down here, print just 1 asterisk. Is this enough? Because if I do this, after printing any asterisk, it will produce new line and it will go to the next line. But I don't want it to go to the next line. So I will write here and equal empty string, nothing. Don't print anything. Just print the asterisk. 1 asterisk, and then next time in the loop, second asterisk, third asterisk, fourth asterisk. But when the for loop is finished, for example, if row is equal to 4 on the fourth row, this loop will repeat 4 times, print 1 asterisk, then second, then third, then fourth, without going to the next line. But when this loop is finished, when we will continue with the next iteration of the outer loop, what we have to do, we have to have here a print statement, an empty print statement, in order to print the new line at the end of this row, or this row, or this row. Okay, here we have to go to the next line, to the beginning of the next line. So we have to print this one. Let's take this statements. I will just put somewhere here, although it exists somewhere there. I will open a new program. Let me create a new program. Okay, save as. I will create another program 03 with this one. Let's delete everything. Okay, let's copy it here. Okay, here my for row equal to range 1 to 7. So this will go from 1 to 6. The body of the outer loop will be repeated 6 times because I set 1,7 from 1 to 6. The values of row will be 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here I have 1 to row plus 1. Whatever is the value of row plus 1 will be exclusive, but row will be inclusive. It is less than row plus 1. So this will repeat row number of times, print an asterisk for that row, that the number of times of the value of the row, and don't go to the next line. But after the asterisks are printed next to each other on the same row, before going to the next value here, print a new line. Let's run this. Here we have our 6 lines, which contains six asterisk on the last row. If the question is something like this, write a Python program that reads an integer number and prints a triangle of asterisks. Sorry. Asterisks equal to a triangle of asterisks of size equal to input number. What I will do, first we will read an integer number. So here we will not have 7, but a value, for example, n. N is equal to, how do I input an integer number? I use the int type conversion function and then input to input something, enter an integer number. Now, with this one, let's run. And before running this, I have to change something. Here, this will not be 7. I have put 7 because I wanted to print up to 6 asterisks. But now I want to print up to n asterisks. So what will be the expression here? N plus 1, because n plus 1 will be exclusive. Therefore, it will go from 1 to n. In order to go up to n, I have to put here n plus 1 as second parameter of the range function. Let's run this program. 12. Here I have 12 lines, which contain 1 asterisk at the first line, 2 at the second line, 3 at the third line, etc., and 12 asterisk on the last line. Assume that I want to print the number before and the asterisk on the same line after that. What I will do, print n, comma, for example, colon. If I do this, sorry, row, and this, I will get this one, but it is not on the same line. I want to put this and this on the same line. What I have to do, of course, here, and equal nothing. But if I do this, I will have this. I want to put a space. What is the solution? Just put a space after colon so that the asterisk is not just right there, is that there. Of course, since 10 occupies 2 positions, here it will shift a little bit, okay? Anyway, we have solved at least one more problem. Print the number of asterisks on that row and then print the asterisk. Then we can have something like that. We also have a way of putting a space before 1 to 9 if it is 2 digit, etc., and single digit, etc. But this is a subject of a future lecture in about week 8 or 9. I will show you how to format numbers and strings and etc. There's a way of formatting it. I can print this variable, integer variable row, which can be 1, 2, 3, up to 12, etc. on 2 positions on the output, 3 positions on the output, etc. I can have control of this, but this is not subject of today. Today we are just learning for loops, and here this is a nested for loop. Now, another question. I want to print a triangle, something like this. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Assume that I want to print this to my output. What can I do? Again, as in the previous one, let's copy this one. Now I am going up to 5. So what I will put? Up to 6. 1 to 6 will produce numbers from 1 to 5. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. And here my call variable will be again same. 1 to row plus 1. If row is 1, it will be only print 1 time. Row is 2, 2 times. If row is 3, 3 times. But here we are not print asterisk. What we are printing, this is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are printing the value of column. Okay. Let's take this one, Control C. Let's put it here in our program. Of course, let's diminish the nestedness. Between these two, I will print 20 asterisk equal sign. In Python, if you multiply a string by an integer number, then you produce a new string. For example, if I have ABC multiplied by 3, what I get a new string where ABC is repeated 3 times. Okay. Take ABC, repeat 3 times. So ABC, ABC, ABC. The result of this one is this. Okay. This is one of the features of Python language. If you use the multiplication operator asterisk with a string and a number, either like this, or it can be as well 3 asterisk ABC. It is same. The result is same. This and this are equivalent. Then we repeat that string that many times. If I have, for example, 2.4, what I will get? 2.4, 2.4, 2.4. Repeat it 3 times. 2.4, and then again 2.4, and again 2.4. Okay, this is a string. So if I have, for example, equal sign multiplied by 10, for example, what I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equal signs. Here, this is what I'm doing. 20 equal, enter number, 8, blah, blah. But here I have just used 6, so I have 1 to 5. What I'm doing, in the first row here, the value of row variable is 1. At the second row, the value of the row variable is 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. And here in this loop, for each row, this loop repeats row times. If row is 1, 1 to 2, row plus 1 will be 2. 1 to 2, it will be only generate 1. Because don't forget, in range function, the second parameter is exclusive. It goes up to that number, excluding that number. So if it is 1, if row is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, it will only produce 1. If row is 5, row plus 1 will be 6. 1 to 6 will produce numbers from 1 to 5. So it will produce up to value of row equal to row, because we have row plus 1 here as the second parameter of the range function. So this will repeat that much. What is the call value? Call is 1 for the first column, 2 is for the second column, 3 for the third column, etc. Let's change this with n plus 1. Oops, sorry. Plus 1 here. So if I enter here 12, it will print again 9, and then 10, and then 11, and then 12 after the others. Is this example understood? Next. I want to print something like this. 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, etc. Okay, I want to print a triangle like this. What is the difference between this one and the previous one? Let's copy this example, this one. Since it goes up to 6, here our value will be 7. 1 to 7 will go up to 6. Instead of if I print column, then here it will be 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But now I am not printing the column value. This is row 1, row 2, row 3. What I am printing, the value of row. Okay, so it is quite similar to the previous one. Here, for any given row, row 4, I'm printing 1, 2, 3, 4. The column values are printed here, but here at the 4th row, 4 is printed. At the 5th row, 5 is printed. At the 6th row, 6 is printed. Therefore, the row is printed. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's take this one, put it here, and then let's copy this one, put it there, and change the call to row. Let's go here, enter number 7, 7 asterisk, up to 7 asterisk, 1 to 7, and here you see this result. Okay. Any questions about this example? So when we learn this one, we can write the first program in a different manner. I will just copy this here and put this one again here. Print row multiply by just 1 asterisk. Of course, here I was printing this one. Let's remove that one. And let's run this again. 7, 1 to 7, 1 to 7. As you see, this program segment and this program segment, these 2 lines and these 4 lines are producing exactly the same result. Here I have used a feature of Python, which is the multiplication of a string by a number. Since on the first row I have 1 asterisk, on the second row I have 2 asterisks, on the 7th row I have 7 asterisks, what I do, I multiply the asterisk, a string which contains an asterisk with the row number, row 1, row 2, row 3, row is equal to 4, etc. in this loop, because I am starting with 1. So the first time row will be equal to 1, the second time row will be equal to 2, the last time row will be equal to 7. Because I entered 7 from here. Therefore, at each row, I am producing a string which contains the row number of asterisks. Okay. So this can be written in much shorter way like that. The first line is same as you see, but the rest is quite simple when I use this. But here I cannot do that because I have different characters. Not the same character is not repeated. Here it is repeated. Here I can do that. Okay. So how can I do that? Let's copy this program segment below. Here I will change, I will remove all of this. What we can say, how can I do this? Here. If I say row multiply by row, it will take the square. This is using a number, an integer number multiplied by a string. So here I have to convert this number to a string. Who remembers how we convert a number to a string? Remember type conversion functions. What is the type conversion function to convert? I have to have here a function. I will just write blah, 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 func. But there is a function name. I will remove this here. What will be the function to convert the integer row to string? Who remembers that function? Do you remember the type conversion
str.
function? Yes, str, exactly. So if I use here str, sorry. Now, from the row integer number, I get a string which contains 1 or 2 or 3 or 7. Multiply that, then that string is repeated. Okay. As you see, this part and this part produces exactly the same output. So this segment and this segment produces the same output. Okay. But here, since the characters are not repeated, I cannot do something like this. Okay, I have to do it as such. Let's continue with more examples. Triangle of asterisks, I did it. Blah, blah. So what I will do, I will just open my question bank and find some for essay increasing, decreasing, increasing. I will just from here, let me select. Okay, let's do this one. This is the question. This is for making bold in HTML. Write a Python program that finds and prints the sum of all 3-digit numbers. 3 digits, it is even better to write positive numbers because 1, 2, 3, 4 is a 3-digit number, but -2 for blah, blah is also 3-digit number. Okay. Therefore, this question is not good enough. I should put here sum of 3-digit positive numbers. That's better. So write a program. Let's remove everything. Write a Python program that finds and prints sum of all 3-digit positive numbers that has 16 as last 2 digits. Use a for loop to do that. You can also use while loop. This can also be solved with a while loop. But if I want to measure your for loop knowledge in the exam, I will put this. If you solve it a while loop, you will not get any points. You have to use a for loop. You can also use a while loop. We will see the while loop next week. Okay. So there are several possible solutions to this one. It says 16 as last 2 digits. So what we can do on the exam paper, we can write some 3-digit positive integer numbers that has 16 as last 2 digits. So what is the smallest 3-digit positive integer number that has 16 as last 2 digits? 116. Next one, 216. Next one, 316. And at the end, 916. And then the next number, 1016, is not 3 digits anymore. So we will not accept this. We will only accept up to that one. So when we write on our question paper these numbers, we can easily write a for loop for n in range. What is the first number? 116. Since we say up to all 3-digit positive numbers, we can write here 1000. As long as it is less than 1000, it will be okay. And from the first number to the second, from the second to the third, etc., we are every time increasing by 100. So our third parameter will be 100. We say print the sum. So we have to compute the sum. Even before this one, we have to initialize a variable total equal to 0, or we can even use sum is equal to 0. But in Python, there is a function called sum. We have a function which is similar to this one, sum, and there are some parameters, etc. If I use a variable name sum in my program, I will not be able to use this Python function. So my advice is to use a variable which is slightly different, sum1, for example. Sum1 plus equal. Here in this for loop, we are producing these numbers and put them into variable n. So n will be 116, 216, 316, and at the end 916. And next time it will be 1016, which will be greater or equal to 1000. Therefore, it will not be used. It will not be processed. So I have this, and when I finish, I can print my variable sum1, or just total. Then in this, take this variable, put it here and here. Okay. So read the question carefully. Print the sum of all 3-digit positive numbers that has 16 as last 2 digits. As I said, first write on your exam paper this, or if it is an online exam, put a pen and pencil, a pencil and a paper on next to you. Just write this on a piece of paper, and then write this program in the online question, and then submit the question, submit the answer. Is this understood? Next, write a Python program that finds and prints the sum of all 3-digit positive numbers that has 16 or 42 as last 2 digits. Now, 116, 142, 216, 242, etc. Okay, 342, 942. Now this time we have to have a different way of thinking. It's not only 16. Here we got 16 increased by 100. It will always get 116, 216, 316. But now I have either 16 or 42 as last two digits. Any comment or any solution proposal? How can I get the addition of all those numbers? Here what I can produce, 100, 200, 300, and in the loop, I can have something like this. K is equal to n plus 16. The last digit is 16. N is 100, 100, 200, 300, etc. I'm starting with 100, increase by 100 each time. As long as it is less than 1000, I'm producing one. This loop will produce just values 100, 200, 300, blah, 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 up to 900. Sorry, not 900. So K is equal to N plus 16 is 116, 216, 316. And let's put here, for example, M is equal to N plus 42, 142, 242, 342. So what we do, K is added plus M is added total. So my total variable will contain the sum of all these numbers. Okay. Is this understood? I should put such a question in my question bank. This is just, I improvised just immediately right now. But this is a nice example about how to think. If it is either 16 or 42, just write on a piece of paper here. And then now you just solve an answer from me. Produce 100, 200, blah, blah, and just produce a number which ends with 16, number and it's 42, and add these two and add to the total. And the total will get the total of all these numbers. Even you can do it something like that. N plus 16 plus N plus 42. I don't need these variables at all. Okay. Simple, more simple. I don't need extra variables. N plus 16 is 116 or 216 or 316, depending on the value of N inside the loop. And N plus 42 is either 142 or 242, 342, etc. inside the loop. What I do, I add 116, 142, add to total when N is 100. When N is 200, this will become 216, 242. These two numbers are added to total, etc., etc. Is it understood? Any questions about this last example? One more solution. What I can write as a solution to this one, I will produce not only 100, 200, blah, blah, but all numbers, etc., up to 999. But here, I am interested on only with the numbers which has 16 or 42 as last two digits. So here I can write an if statement. If the remainder by dividing by 100 is 16, or the remainder by dividing by 100 is 42, then I get one of these numbers, then I will add those. So my if statement will be something like that. If N, which is 100 from 100 to 999, all these numbers, if n has the last two digit 16 or the last two digit 42, then I will add that n value. If n is 116, add n. If n is 142, then add n. Don't add the other numbers. So n modulus 100 equal 16 is true when the last two digits is 16. I can do that. And also what I can write, I can just copy this and put 42 here. This is correct. If n if the last two digits of n is 16, add that one. If the last two digits is 42, add this one. But what I can do, I can put here or and take this condition and put here, remove these two statements. So produce all n from 100 to 999, excluding 1000. I produce all of these numbers. So n will be 100, 101, 102, 3, etc. up to 999. If the last two digits of n is 16 or last two digits of n, I have here or the last two digits is 42, then add that number. At the beginning 100. For 100, this condition is not true. For 101, not true. 102 is not true. But when we come at 1.116, this is true. This is false. But as we know that when we have true or false, the result is true. So 116 will be added. And after some time, we will come to 142. N will be 142. 142 modulus 100 equals 16 is false. It is not 16, it is 42. This is false. But this is true. False or true is true. So 142 will be added to total. 143, for example, for 143, this is false. This is false. False or false is false. 143 will not be added. Okay. I hope this is also understood. So we can either do it like this. Just generate 100, 200, 300, 400, and inside generate 116 or the numbers ending with 16 and ending with 42, and add these and add them to total. Or generate all numbers from 100 to 999 and only select the numbers which ends with 16 or ends with 42 and add those numbers to total. Would you like me to put this in the program and share it with you? I hope you would like it. Let me copy this, go to this place for one. I will just put this at the end. Of course, I will just remove this. Make this a comment line so that sum prints the sum of Let's run it. And we are doing some other things probably here. Okay. This is the result. Here, as you see, this total is 9,500 and blah, blah, and this is same. So at least both are same. My answer is correct for both. So this also shows that at least since they are same, it's probably correct. Okay. Let's continue with some more examples. Okay, I found another question. The sum of for example, 1.7 to 0.7, 3.7 up to 9.7. Okay, these are not integer numbers, but using integers, I can still solve this problem. What is 1.7? 1.7 is 17 divided by 10. As I said before, in Python, when we use division, the result is always a real number, a float number. For example, if I have, for example, like something like 240 divided by 10 gives me not 24, but 24.0. Okay. The division operator always gives a float number. So 1.17 divided by 10 is 1.7. So this is the question, but from this question, you can quickly see that the values that are generated, that are used is 17, 27 divided by 10, 37 divided by 10, etc. And 97 divided by 10. So what I can do, I can build a loop which will generate 17, 27, 37 up to 97. So what I will do, I will write here 17, as long as it is less than 100, increase by 10. So I will produce 17, 27, 37, blah, 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 97. What is my total? I will add n divided by 10. Okay? N divided by 10. N is 17 divided by 10, 1.7. N is 27 divided by 10, 2.7. When n is 37 divided by 10, 3.7. So this loop will get the result of the sum of those numbers. What I will do, I will copy this, go to the program here. Of course, I will again put this equals here. Write a Python statement. Let's make this a comment line. And also a comment line here. Remove this line. (51.3) is the result. It should be correct. Let's make it more simple. Instead of 1 point blah blah, let's just go up to 3.7. Okay. So what I will do, if I put here 40, it will only produce 17, 27, 37. So I have more control about that. I can, from mind compute 8.1. Forget about this. This happens because some float numbers cannot be exactly represented in computer memory. So 1.7, 2.7, 3.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7 is 2.1. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. 0.7, 0.7, 0.7 is 2.1, 6 plus 2.1, 8.1. So this is the result. Okay. As I said, here, if you see something like this, 0.0000001, then forget about that part. The real value is 8.7, 8.1. This is because, as I said, some float numbers cannot be represented in binary, because in computers, everything is in binary with zeros and ones. Some numbers, some float numbers cannot be represented exactly, so you can get something like that sometimes. Here, by coincidence, we get this. If we probably do it like 50, get also 47, 4.7, then probably we will not have this. It may be possible that we will not get this 12.8. It's more safe. So we can use integer numbers but here we are using float numbers, but these float numbers can be generated by dividing by some integer numbers. Let's have another example similar to this one. If you solve more examples, we will get used to solve these problems more easily. Zero 0.8. Each time starting, that prints the sum of numbers starting from 2.0 up to 10.0 by increasing 0.7 each time. So what are these values? When we see this 10.0, let's say both inclusive. So 10.0 is also inclusive. Each time we are increasing by 0.7. This is a question that can be solved with while loops much easily. So forget about for loop for this one. Okay, forget this question. Because we also have while loops. Maybe I have another more than half an hour. I can start while loops today. Any questions about for loops or nested for loops?
Teacher, why we writing at the beginning?
Sorry, why do we write?
Right at the beginning, you said total equals 0.
0. Yeah. Because I have to initialize 0
Yeah.
here. What is the meaning of this one? If I don't write this one, if I omit this one, for example, okay. Here, what is the meaning of this one? This is equivalent to writing total is equal to total plus n, okay? We have this statement. Let's take this statement. If I don't have total before, when I come here in this loop, the first time I come to the statement, I want to add total and n. If total is not initialized, if I don't have something like total is equal to 0, this doesn't exist, okay?
Okay.
What is the value of total? Okay. it is unknown. I have a problem in that case. Okay, that's why we start with this statement at the beginning. Okay. If
Okay,
total
thank you,
doesn't
teacher.
exist, yeah, if total doesn't exist, this will give me an error. Okay, assume that I want to not find the sum, but average of, where is the question? I forgot. Here it was divisible, the last two digits 16 and the last two digits 42, okay? So, but I'm not interested in total, but in average. I want to get the average of numbers, three-digit numbers. It was, remember, it was 116, 142, 216, 242, 316, 342, blah, 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 916 and 942. I want to find not the sum of these numbers, but the average of these numbers. Okay. Find, print average of, it exists here. So what I will do, okay, write a Python program. I will just take this to, let me put it here. Write a Python program that finds and prints the average of all three-digit positive numbers that has this and this as last two digits. Okay. So I'm interested in average. What is average? I have to find the total of all these numbers. And I also need to count these numbers. Okay. So total gets the total of all these numbers. But I also need to count. So I will have count is equal to 0. Here, I found a number which is either ends with 16 or 42. I add that number to total, but I also need to count them. So what I do, count plus equal 1, which is equivalent to, sorry, count is equal to count plus 1. So count was 0 at the beginning. When I find 116 the first time in this if with this if statement, I increase count by 1. So I have 1 here. Oops, sorry. And this number is added to total. When I find another number, which is now 42, this one, 142 is added to total, but we increase count by 1. Now I have 2 here, 3 here, 4. This is the value of count, okay? Etc. So here we are with this statement, we are adding 116, 142, 216, 242, etc. All these numbers to total. But at the same time, in this if statement, we have another statement, count plus equal 1. We increase the variable count, which we start with 1. We add 1, then 2, then another 1, 1, 1, 1. We always add 1. So we count those numbers. This will be, there are 18. So this is 17, and this will be 18, for example. And then I have the total. I have the count. What is the average? Total divided by count is the average. Okay. This is the average. So let's take this one. Let's put it here in our program. Here we had that one. Control C. I will copy this, put it there, put this one again below. That finds and prints the average of all three-digit numbers. So with together with total, I have a count variable. If I am interested in average, there are two things I have to do, or three things. First of all, find the total, count those numbers. We were using the second solution. So let's take this, Control C, B, okay. And here we have to increase count by 1. And here, not total, but total divided by count. And let's put here average equal, comma, this. We have two parameters, one string and one expression. The print statement will print this string to the screen, compute this expression, and print the result as well. So the average is this one. Okay. 16 plus 42 is 58. Half of the 58 is 29. And from 100 to 900, the average is 500. So this is correct. Okay. So when you want to find the average, three things has to be done. Find the total, count the numbers, and divide the total by count. How can I do it with this solution? That I will put it here as well. Here again, let's put the count. Let's add the count here as well. Here I'm just generating 100, 200, 300, 900. Okay, with this loop, and I'm adding 116, 142, 216, 242. What I will do for count? What I'm adding one number and two numbers. Okay, I'm adding to total two of those numbers, any two numbers which has 16 or 42. So what I will have to do, plus equal to, because I'm adding one number and adding another number. Okay, so count has to be increased by 2 because I'm adding two numbers, one number and second number. That's why I have plus equal to. Okay. Here we have printed average equal blah blah is the second line. But here we just printed the average directly, which is the first line. Okay, is this understood? Here in this solution, you have to imagine that to total, you are adding two numbers each time. One number ending with 16 and one number ending with 42. That's why we have to increase the count by 2. Okay. Is this understood? Do you follow my explanations and my exercises well enough? Let's put here 9.7. And in that case, we have to go up to 100. Okay. Okay, I will share this program as well with you. I will put it in LMS. Here I had already put it, but I will put this new version. Let me do it right away. Which was 3.33, 033, 033, and 01. Yeah, this one. Okay, the new version of the program is put into LMS. Any questions? Any more questions?